The name of the book is Living Craft Traditions of India. Chapter number 1. Chapter number 1, Crafts Heritage. India is a combination of many worlds, living in many centuries and cultures. The world of India's craftspeople spans millennia and spreads across the length and breadth of our land, which is seen in cities and towns, by lanes and villages. A small crafted object made in an unknown village of India has the capacity of becoming an object displayed in the finest museums of the world. Yet the same object is often merely an object of utility for particular community which never speaks of it as a great art. It is often lack of knowledge about variety of cultures, techniques, meanings, and uses and relevance of such handicrafted objects that allows us to neglect their beauty and take our culture heritage for granted. The definition of crafts. Indian words for handicrafts are commonly hastakala, hastashilp, dastakari, karigiri, all meaning handiwork, but they also refer to objects made with craftsmanship, that is, specialized skills of the hands, which are also artistic. The aesthetic content is an intrinsic part of the objects and means object of utility has value that goes beyond mere usage and is also pleasing to the eye. Handicrafted object is seldom merely decorative, and whether it has no embellishment or is highly decorative, its true purpose is served only when it is both useful and has fine form. Crafts and culture. Crafts are therefore closely related to concept of form, pattern, design, usage, and these lead to its aesthetic quality. When all these aspects are rooted in the culture of the people in a particular area of a country or among certain communities, craft become a part of cultural heritage. Handicrafted objects are not just valuable to their aesthetic quality, but as objects produced by traditional craftsmen and women for ceremonial and religious purposes, and most importantly, as means of livelihood. This creative spirit in the midst of struggle for survival is one of the unique and significant distinguishing features between men and beasts. Why else do the forest communities even today lay so much store by painting the inside or outside of their homes or adorning their bodies with decorative tattoos or ornaments? Why are people affected and often spiritually guided by colors? Why does a woman fashion an attractive handle for the broom she uses to clean her home? And why does she spend time invoking the blessings of the gods through her painted designs on her kitchen floor? Crafts through the ages. India has been greatly blessed by having many layered, culturally diverse, rich heritage of craft skills influenced by historical events, combining with local practices and religious beliefs. These influences have come from multiple sources. Changes and enrichment have taken place from trade movements such as those on Silk Route, which brought demands and resources from Middle East and Central Asia to the Far East up to China. The skill of weaving carpets and superior forms of shawls was brought to Kashmir by pre-Mughal king Zain al-Abidin. Persian artisans enriched carpet weaving and shawl making according to needs of Indian courts. On the other hand, the static nature of Hindu caste system has kept many craft forms alive merely because artisans had no opportunity to move away to other professions as society's boundaries were rigid and hierarchical. The courts, the courts of various Maharajas encouraged excellence in many courtly crafts connected with the making of armory or jewelry. The temples kept alive the finest metalwork in store carving, mural painting, even textile weaving across India and particularly South India. Here, Kamalars, who claimed to descend from the five divine artisan sons of Lord Vishwakarma, followed the Shilpa Shastras, the technical tomes on the practice of art in Sanskrit. The high spirits among artisans follow these rules even today when creating large vessels out of metal alloys for temple use. The element of religiosity in the practice of craft work spans many regions and communities since the practice of art is seen as a striving for ideal through dedication of their skill to the gods. It is seen as man possesses it is seen as man's process of reaching the epitome of his own capability in pursuit of excellence and doing this by dedicating it to higher being in the spirit and worships. The silken temple clothes in South India are woven to drape stone images of the gods, and the Gharchola and Patola of Gujarat are mandatory purchases for Trosav and are valued highly partly because the weavers belong to high caste families. Even old and torn pieces are used to cover religious objects in the prayer room of a house. Tribal crafts. Tribal communities comprise about 8% of the population of India. Spread out in different parts of the country, they have continued with ancient cultural practices related to their specific ways of life. In Jammu and Kashmir, the Gujars and Bakarwals are mountain tribes who spend their lives crossing over from one side of the mountains to other in search of grass for their sheep and goats. Their jewelry, blankets, embroidered caps and tunics, saddlebags and sundry animal accessories are similar to artifacts of the people of Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq and smaller countries of Central Asia. The robust manner of people and the heavily ornamented women folk reflect as far as down India as Saurashtra and desert regions of Kutch in Gujarat and Rajasthan. Mirror work in embroidery stems from the user of mica from the desert lands in the garments of those who liked heavy and shining ornamentation. People of nomadic tribes usually wore all they had on their person. They found that the sun reflected mica, making it necessary that embellished their garment suitably without any cost. Each group developed its own style of embroidery, and can be still clearly seen in many communities that exhibit western region of India. Both the identity of tribe and material status of woman are embedded in the style of embroidery and the color and cut of the upper bodies worn by its women. The communities move in search of greener pastures for their sheep, cattle, and camels. Across desert sands, a mere glance is enough to identify the tribe and profession. Various tribes inhabiting northeast of India live making rich bamboo forests where finest quality of skill in weaving bamboo, cane and other wild grasses can be seen. This group links itself with culturally to the people of Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia and also Vietnam and even Japan and China, where mat weaving and basketry are of the highest quality. Handloom weaving too is a common skill of this region. Apart from weaving ceremonial shawls, lungis, Headscarves, waist belts, small scarves for ceremonial greetings are woven in almost every household. These clothes are revered for many reasons. They establish the identity of the tribe or the status of the wearer. They serve as welcome scarves to greet a visitor. They honor the achievements of chieftain and they pass on skills from generation to generation through their women folk. Other tribes are found in central and south India, spread across the states of Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, and to some extent in Kerala. In each region, they have different cultural practices, and urbanization has affected the extent of they continue to or make or use handicrafted products. Most cases, however, their deep connection with the forest which they live and their spiritual association with all forms of nature has enabled them to retain distinct style of making bamboo items such as bows, arrows, musical instruments, and baskets. Their metal work incorporates the work of trees, animals, and human beings as if they were all forged from the same shapes and impulses of nature. Earthen vessels and toys are painted with bold black and white strips. Pinos for grain take on wondrous hues with stripes of bamboo dyed in brilliant yellows and magenta pinks. The palm leaf brooms are playfully embellished with decorative handles, and baskets carrying the trousseau of the bride to her new home are capped with plumed birds made of bright colored strips of bamboo. The making of craft items is at once daily practice, a ritual, and a celebration of creativity in everyday life. Textiles of the tribals of central India have their own distinct identity. The tribes of central India spin and weave thick cream colored yarn with madder red borders and end pieces reflecting image from their lives. Birds, flowers, trees, deer, and even airplane decorate these clothes. In Orissa, ceremonial cords can be worn by the priest or priestess are required to be certain color. Each color has to be auspicious meaning. The tribal and indigenous art related to specific cultural traditions of various communities should be termed as people's art. Formation of social groups. Those who worked with their hands in artistic skills were denied easy access to the tasks assigned to upper castes, while socially and psychologically detrimental. The caste system locked artisanal skills in place and ensured the transmission of the knowledge from this generation to next generation in absence of any alternative, thereby preserving techniques and processes that may have lost. Even today, Prajapati or Kumar, the Bankar, Rashari are and other identified and categorized artisans are divided and recognized by caste groupings, whether they continue or practice their skill or not. In the Arts of India by GCM Birdwood, the cities of 19th chapter of second section of the Ramayana to list the inhabitants of the city that are represented in the position with Bharata to seek Rama. There were trade guilds of artisans, jewelers, potters, ivory perfumers, goldsmiths, weavers, carpenters, braziers, painters, musical instrument makers, armorers, couriers, blacksmiths, coppersmiths, maker of figure in layers, and others. Present day in India, we can formulate broad groupings of major practitioners of craft as potters, weavers, metalsmiths, wood carvers, cane and bamboo weavers, stone carvers. While these may be larger skills, there are many other crafts from shola with pitch fork, papier mache, innumerable styles of mural, miniature, and floor painting, paper craft, glasswork, and carpet and dewey weaving. In the area of textiles, India undoubtedly has largest range of skills that can be found anywhere in the world. While separating the craft of making floor covering out of rags and yarn, we are left with textile that consists of ornamentation through pre-loom process, plain weaving, pattern weaving in which ornamentation appears during the weaving process, and post-loom ornamentation. Last of these can be further subdivided into embroidery, broad beadwork, block painting, and tie and dye techniques. And Zari work, offering them further array of skills that express themselves differently from one region to another. Empowerment of women artisans. In, in Bhadoi district of Uttar Pradesh, hundreds of women took up carpet weaving since young boys went to school. After as the anti-child labor campaign came into effect, sometimes 4 or 5 women weave a carpet together under uncomfortable conditions, earning a meager rupees 1,500 per carpet collectively. For women-headed households, the burden of bringing up children and staying alive under some carpet-producing villages, it was found that these movements are part as a part of tradition and custom weave baskets with local munch glasses to serve containers for sweets, saris, jewelry, fruit, and other items on ceremonial family occasions. The brightly dyed grass of munch is woven into small and large baskets of with intricate designs depending on the creativity and mood of the maker, with some minor regarding color, size, costing. The women were encouraged to bring collection of these baskets from every home and sell them in Delhi Hat in New Delhi. What began as a shy, hesitant venture ended in delight as women sold out her stock, earning 17,000 rupees in the process. They described their experience as one of the independence, for they had control of the raw material, control over production, control over creativity. Control over creativity, uh, control over sales. The earnings were free and Malik control prevalent in the carpet and industry and were entirely based on their own efforts. After some design workshops were held in the villages and the produce exhibited at the different places, they were able to sell more than 6 lakhs rupees worth of baskets in 1 year. Perhaps this is the closest example of what empowerment actually means when translated from abstract jargon into reality. But there is still a lot of work to be done, such as organizing the women into self help groups, encouraging savings, and delivering microcredit to them so that they have money for raw material, transportation, and other needs. There are many issues and areas of work involved in this story: child labor, women's work, skill of basket making, designing new baskets, finding new use for these baskets, calculating the cost of each basket so that they fetch fair return without making the basket too expensive, planning on marketing strategy, including an exhibition, a catalog, web marketing, learning about the benefits of self group, and the availability of microcredit. So, this was the chapter number one. There is an exercise given below the chapter. It has 8 questions. I will read all the questions one by one. Question number one: even though craft people produce objects of great utility for every home, this community is often marginalized in terms of what it earns and where it lives in the village. Investigate and find reasons for this. Is this situation changing? Question 2: in several parts of India, women are prohibited from using the wheel to make a pottery. However, in Manipur, women can also be potters. In your own area, identify tasks done by men and women at different stages of making any craft objects. In India, craft sector is the largest exporter. Collect data on crafts that are mostly successful export items and complete a table. Question 4: in your opinion, why is basket making, mat weaving, and making of brooms largely done by women? Question 5. How do market forces influence the making of craft object? Think of a kite, traditional paper toy, and a paper mache object. Consider raw material, process, form, and shape, design, decoration, ecologically conscious buyer, the expert market, etc. Question 6. Which types of embroidery were traditionally done by men in our country and why? Find out. Question 7. In your opinion, what are factors that give distinctive character to crafts in specific region? Question 8. Looking at the objects drawn from the list, four different regions of India made from specific materials such as textile, clay. Make a study of the variety found in technique, design, color, and shape. Describe in detail.